Hello everybody! I want to share my seitan recipe with you guys, being that I feel that it is very important if you are transitioning into not consuming meat products, you have to have a good recipe for seitan, right? Well, here it is, and I hope it doesn't disappoint. So we first start with 6 cups of flour and 3.5 cups of water. We combine the two to form a dough. Now I did create 2 batches only because I cook for a family of 5. And I always like to cook extra because this goes really fast. So here it is. Here is my dough ball. After I kneaded it for about 10 minutes, I left it in the same mixing bowl and just covered it with water. My dough actually sat in the water for over 24 hours only because I got busy on the day that I made the dough and I didn't have time to wash it. But normally I let it rest for a minimum of 1 hour before I start washing out the starch. Now here is the dough that has been resting. I'm now going to transfer it inside of a colander that is sitting inside a bigger bowl. Using a colander allows me to manage the dough a little bit better, just handle it better, and also it keeps it from falling apart so easily. Now I am washing it with warm water. I find that it washes out the starches better than cold water. Once you have filled the mixing bowl with water, you're going to go ahead and turn your faucet off, and you're going to massage that starch out of the dough as much as possible. You see here it has quite a milky appearance, and that's what you want to see. This means that you are successfully washing that starch out. It is now time to remove the dough from the starchy water. So what you'll do is you'll drain out most of that water out of the colander and start your second wash. Now you will notice that on your second wash, the water is not as cloudy or milky. And that's exactly what you want it to look like, because this is going to leave a little bit of starch in your dough to allow for the best consistency, in my opinion. This is what it should look like at this point. I wanted to show you the difference in consistency. Here you have the one that is not washed yet. It is still very starchy and very white in color. And to the right you will see the one that has already been washed. After repeating the same washing method with the second dough ball, I went ahead and I placed both of them in a bowl to start with the seasoning process. Now a little backstory on how I created this recipe. I was trying to make a turkey roast a few years back, and I was really looking for flavors that resembled chicken or turkey flavor, and this is what I came up with. I'm really happy with how it turned out. So here's a listing of all the ingredients that I am using, and I will show you exactly how I do that. Now to make the paste that we will be using to incorporate into the dough to season it, here is some liquid aminos, sesame seed oil. Next is the nutritional yeast. This is consommé, sage and thyme, onion and garlic powder. Okay, it is now time to combine the seasoning paste into the dough, and there is different ways of doing that. You can blend the dough along with the paste. That's one way. Second way would be to use a food processor. That's probably the easiest way if you have one. I didn't want to dig mine out. It's in the back of my cabinet somewhere. So I just used my blender to show you how that is done. Now the third way is a little bit more time consuming, but it is also possible. This is the blended one here. You could tell it's well combined. But if you don't have a blender or a food processor, you can take some kitchen shears, cut into the dough, make little slits, and then incorporate the seasoning. So in order to incorporate all the seasonings into the dough, I continue cutting, and this took the longest, I believe, out of the whole process other than the waiting time. So I continued cutting little slits into the dough and then going in to knead in the seasoning, and it took a total of about 10 minutes. Once the dough was an even color is when I knew to stop. And then what I did was I cut the dough into smaller chunks. I cut a total of 8 smaller pieces. Now this is the dough that has been cut into 8 individual pieces. And what I do is I take the dough and I create these little balls by tucking in the dough on the back. If you see my technique here, I just kind of stretch it and tuck it in towards the back, and then put the part that I've tucked in at the bottom, and I just let it sit in the basket of the steamer for about 30 minutes. After the dough has rested, I take it and I stretch it out as much as the dough will allow, and I create the knots. Sometimes I can knot it twice, sometimes 3 times. So here is how I do that. I place it right back into the basket for the steamer, and I put it into steam for an hour. All I do really is add garlic salt and some consommé to the water that I am steaming it in, just to add a little extra flavor. Now here is the final product, guys. As you can see, it's expanded quite a bit. It is now fully cooked and ready to be used in your favorite dishes. I've personally used it in stir fries, tacos, fried chicken, fajitas, mole, salsa verde, and the list goes on and on and on. It is really nice to use in tacos because of the consistency. I find that if I fry it a little bit when it's shredded and then add some taco seasoning to it, it's really delicious. Now keep in mind, it is already seasoned, so if you plan on adding more flavors, do not add the 2 tablespoons of consommé. Maybe just add 1 and then add the rest of your seasonings later when you're actually incorporating it in your dishes. Here you see how I fried it just a little bit just to brown it, and this time I used it in a mole sauce, which I will be posting a picture of at the end, as well as I used it as a fried, I breaded it and fried it and used it over some waffles, like fried chicken and waffles, which was delicious too. So please let me know if you have any questions. I am happy to help. I'm happy to share my recipes. If you want more ideas on plant-based meals, please visit my Instagram page. I am at Yessie's Plant-Based Diet. Once again, thank you so much for watching my video. I know it's a little bit lengthy, but I wanted to make sure to incorporate all my methods that I use so that you guys have a successful experience if you try my recipe. If you do, please tag me in it. I would love to see what you've come up with, and I hope to catch you on my next video where I will be giving you this mole recipe here. Happy holidays!